We're doing an auction, a live auction, ladies and gentlemen. And even if you're not bidding on anything, it's so worth it to watch the amazing pipes of Joe Bodnar. Give it up for Joe.
Hey, welcome to Bodnars, Bids, and Banter. I'm your host, Joe Bodnar.
Maureen.
Danny.
And Tom.
All right, he hit it. Newbie to the show. He hit it right on schedule. Tom.
I know. It was hard to get me. I have a busy schedule. But I saw Kevin Smith came on, so I was like, finally, it's just big enough for me now.
So humble.
You know, I'll tell you, this is Tom's first time on the podcast. He's a newbie to us. It's been, I guess, 6 months now, I guess.
Just about 7 months.
7 months, yeah.
7
How
months.
time flies.
I know.
Really, how time flies. My goodness.
God, why haven't I asked for a raise yet?
Oh, that's a good.
Just about that
Wow.
time.
All right. Well, that's who knows. You never know. It usually doesn't work that way, though.
Can I get a raise?
He's like, let me ask on the pod.
Let's do some negotiations here.
I'm laughing. You know, it's funny. I actually gave myself a decrease today.
Yeah.
I just did payroll right before the podcast. Right.
Yeah.
Here's my pay. I cut it in half, and that's what I paid myself because that's all I could afford this week. Bad week to ask for a raise.
Don't worry.
Glories of owning your own business.
Don't worry. Those Funkos are going to do numbers. We'll be fine.
There you go. That's what I like to hear. But I'll tell you, now you actually collect, I believe, you collect like military things and guns and stuff,
I
right?
collect old military rifles. I have a small collection because they are quite expensive.
Right.
I have a wartime production Soviet Mosin Nagant. I have a Type 56 Chinese SKS. And that's pretty much it in terms of my actual historical rifles. My dream is an 1863 Springfield or some sort of 1850s Wentworth.
So we were
very
actually in
expensive.
we did a pickup last week, and we got the guy had an elevator in his house. Can you believe this? He did. He had an elevator in his house. Actually, you would have loved this house.
It was crazy.
I went there. He's an old time customer of ours, and he had a collection of artwork that he's starting to dispose of. So we went to pick up the artwork. And man, we walked in and it was just, he was a builder, so he built this house, right? And the house was built like, his kitchen must have cost him $100,000, maybe $200,000.
Where was this house? What town?
Middletown-ish area. I think it was Middletown.
Yeah.
It was right on the border there, Middletown and Homedale and da-da-da-da-da.
Like Route 35, Route 36?
Yeah, exactly, in that area. And he had his kitchen, he had this double door. You could see all the food in. Stainless steel. The cabinets were stainless steel.
He had a dry aged steak going on.
Yeah, he had a dry aged
huge
steak
prime
going
rib
on.
like this big.
Yeah,
this guy had money.
Yeah, he was dry aging a prime rib for
Yeah.
Easter Sunday. We're looking at it, salivating.
hell?
It was like a 20-pound fucking prime rib in there. I'm going,
If you can afford meat
holy
like that,
shit.
you know he got money.
Oh, he had a lot of money. This guy's house is nuts.
It
Wasn't even that big a house, but was what was inside it.
It was great. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
second floor bedroom, he had 2 pinball machines and a whole bunch of stuff. That tells you like where he was at. All right, it was cool. So we get in the elevator.
Bachelor?
Well, you know what's even. So we get in the elevator and we go downstairs, and there's a gun there, right? There was a gun. You were like,
There was a gun in almost every corner of the house. They were almost all 19th century muskets or rifled muskets. He had Wentworths. He had Enfields. He had Mississippi rifles. If that thing's actually fireable, which he claims it was, that thing's like $15,000.
Right,
And he
right.
had more than one just lying around.
You know what he had that was cool? So in the elevator, hanging, he had a picture frame, and it was made out of arrowheads, and it was George Washington's head, and it had like a commemorative thing going on inside.
Like hobo art? Or you know what I mean?
Tramp art?
Or tramp art, you know?
Like tramp art, I guess. Like, yeah, it could be considered tramp art, folk art, like that.
Wait, was George Washington's head made out of arrowheads?
Yes.
Yes, it was like a side profile, like
okay.
a coin.
Now it's...
Yeah.
I see it.
No, it was really sharp,
It was
man.
cool.
And then I went
Literally.
to the, well, yeah, yes, exactly.
Ba-dum-bum.
So then we went to the basement, right? And I got trapped down there for a little bit, but he had a Coca-Cola bumper car. You know, it was really cool. This is the kind
we're
of shit
getting
that
that,
was
right?
there.
Aren't we
You know
getting
you
that
have
bumper
a
car?
lot of
coming.
money when you have like that much just random shit.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you know what
there
I'm
was-
saying?
it
like,
was everywhere.
But like so random. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was random all the way around, but he had neat stuff.
It was all organized really well too.
Yes.
The house didn't feel cluttered, but it was full of stuff. The basement
Right.
was kind of cluttered, but it's a basement.
Yes,
but it all looked nice.
He had it displayed very, very nicely. And his artwork we picked up, that's going to be sold way down the pike, October, November of this year. But he had some really nice artwork. It was all different oil paintings and master paintings and things of that nature. And it was really cool, you know.
Yeah. Clearly a bachelor.
His
widowed.
a widowed. He was quite old.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, right? I feel bad.
No, I do feel bad.
But
Well, because I'm thinking as a woman, there's no way I'm allowing pinball machines in my bedroom.
no,
it's not happening.
I think. Well, my understanding was though, I think he's only widowed a couple years here.
Yeah,
so
he had a bigger
flashing
house.
lights.
He lived next door in the bigger house, and then after his wife died, he downgraded to the other house he owned next door.
Is that what he told you? I didn't even get that
yeah,
far.
Yeah, he also
Well,
owned two other houses.
He's part
on
of the
that same
CIA.
street.
When we go to house
I
call,
just
I'm going to
talked to
have
the
him.
man.
He's
Tom gets
getting
all
all
the
the information from the
Tom gets all the provenance.
Tom is always
I like making
listening.
conversation.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, it's like, yeah, he's the part. He's going to be the secret CIA of the auction.
Okay.
Yeah, you get all the information,
Get all the info.
backstories here.
That would be great if we had a
He
live
did-
auction.
Well, you know,
And
it's
the
funny.
Bodnar Gestapo.
Yeah, there you go. That would have worked at the live auction. You could have went around, talked to
Could've
people,
went
and find out, hey, what are you going to bid on that?
Incognito.
Yeah,
Oh, man,
hey, by the
yeah,
way,
you would've
the
done
guy
great
in the
at
back
that, yeah.
left is going to bid $5,000 on this. Hey, this guy over here is looking for a car. This is what he wants. Go get it. You know, but yeah, he did tell me though. Apparently he owned several houses on that block, and then he built this one. But I thought the wife was still there, but I guess
What
not.
did he do?
What
He
in
was
the
a builder.
Caucasity?
He was a builder.
Yeah.
He was a builder.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I get, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense.
But back to the kitchen. Oh my God, it was orgasmic. It was just like wall-to-wall stainless steel and just fantastic. So
Yeah. Nightmare.
it can be a nightmare, I guess so.
Fingerprint City.
Exactly. That's all I keep thinking. With 2 kids in the house, that's all I'm thinking about. And
Me?
you're like a Muppet when you cook.
I am. I like that. I'm like,
His
He's like
hands
the
are made of
Swedish
wool
chef.
I
felt.
love it. I got powder all over me.
It's
Flour
everywhere.
over me. But doesn't the food taste good?
The food is
Yes,
delicious.
you are an
Yeah,
excellent
but
cook.
I'm
Exactly.
sorry. I know we have low ceilings in this house, but I'll look up. Do you know how many times a year I have to clean the kitchen ceiling from this guy? Because I just look up. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah,
and how did it
well,
get there?
I don't know.
Across the kitchen.
It wasn't for me. I don't know. I think it was when you cooked. That's what I think. Okay, yes, it was me.
There's always splotches outside the canvas on a beautiful art piece, you know?
Exactly.
Get ready. We have to duck some fire behind the counter.
I hate it when mom and dad fight. I don't know.
I don't know. But I am a wild
Shots
cooker.
fired.
There's no
Yeah,
question
you're
about
like
it.
the chef from the Muppets.
I really am. But
Dirt.
I've heard actually Christian's very good Swedish chef impression when we went to karaoke. He did a whole song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was very good.
there you go. That was very good. Very good.
Wow. Christian, a man of many talents.
Exactly. So you collect military items.
Yes,
and
I
things
also
of
cut
that
political
nature.
buttons and that kind of thing.
Right,
Historical stuff
right.
in general. I have everything from Hubert Humphrey to almost modern day. There was a pin I did not get in the last auction
Right.
for Jesse Jackson 1984 Rainbow Coalition campaign that I really wanted, but it went for way too much.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. Oh no, that's cool. That's actually very well. So what got you into like political things? And
I
things
mean,
of
I
that
was a history major in college.
Okay.
I subbed for a while. I do have a certificate to teach history, and I just love political history, especially.
Right.
Even though I don't like politicians.
Yeah.
nature? Well, there you go.
It'd be like that.
Too
Yeah.
like that. I do find it interesting, though.
So with your Spidey intel, did you ever like help your mom out with her, like spying out for her lawyer instincts or
no,
for
no.
judging and things like that? I'm just
No.
curious. Now, how did that feel? I know me personally, so a lot of people know my father's a minister, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you like live like, I don't want to say I live 2 separate lives, but it's different when you're a PK and you're a preacher's son. You like have this one life that you're living there, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that, and then I come all out spewing.
Yeah.
But I do spew in front of my father.
I was
but
going to say,
not at the church.
If you were trying to hide
Phrasing.
anything, if this man thinks he hid anything from his father, he is dead wrong.
No.
Were you,
Yeah.
No, you weren't there. He came in the other day. His dad came in, and we were having a conversation. And we were saying that Joe was a slut when he was younger.
Oh, man.
And his dad came in, and we asked him straight out, "Was your son a slut?" And he said, "Yes."
Yeah. I don't know.
So you were hiding
we were all
nothing.
young men at one point.
Exactly. Thank you. But I wasn't a slut.
You were a slut.
I was not. I
You were a
was
slut.
flirtatious.
He kissed anything
Yeah.
that moved.
I think your mom is a judge.
Yeah.
And that has to
She
be
is.
like
Not
like,
for
I
that
feel
long,
like
but-
similar where you felt like you had to respect that level, but yet you have your own life where you're. I'm not saying you're disrespectful. Hey, when moms are up, hey, fuck everybody. What the fuck? No, I don't mean it like that. But you know what I'm saying. I'm just curious.
I get it.
You ever
What
felt
level?
that pressure?
Only when we go to like bar association things. My mom, to become a judge, you have to schmooze, and network and all that stuff. So I'd have to go to those events and then
Yeah, I
there's
had
a little
to
bit of
do all
pressure
that too,
to be a good kid. But I was a pretty quiet, well-behaved kid. To be
Right,
honest, so
right.
It wasn't that
You
much
were
of a-
quiet? No.
I was. Yeah, I know, right? Honestly,
This is the most I've heard of
I
talk
know.
in 6 months.
In the right
Honestly,
situations,
fair.
I can be quite boisterous, but a lot of the time, I'm pretty
Right.
quiet.
An extroverted introvert.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Well, I
I
remember
can accept that.
I remember as a kid, my father was really involved with politics in New Brunswick, with New Brunswick for tomorrow. New Brunswick for tomorrow, I guess it was.
New Brunswick
Yeah.
tomorrow. My mom
Yeah.
works
New Brunswick
there.
tomorrow.
Yeah, so my father was really involved with. He was a part of that when they first organized it back in the 70s and 80s. So my dad was all a part of that when it was Mayor Lynch, and I remember. I mean, Mayor Lynch was actually at my father's wedding. I used to go to all the types of dinners like you're talking about, but more on a political thought process versus attorney process. But it's like a whole different.
It is, and like
thing.
my dad also worked for PERG for most of the time he was working, and he was
Okay.
involved in New Brunswick politics a lot too.
Right.
So I don't know. I've been around that, just around politics and that sort of sphere, as much as I, Don't actually ask me my opinions about the New Jersey Democrats.
No, we've learned to stay away from politics.
Yes,
on
don't
the
talk about
podcast. But I'm truly I'm more of an independent. I think you're an independent.
yeah.
You come across that way too, and I know you're a
Yes.
Democrat. And that's okay.
I'm
There's
just
nothing
gay
wrong
as,
with
no,
that.
I'm just gay as fuck. So
Look,
honestly,
no, I get it.
whoever's like chill with that, it's like
Which is
sure.
no one.
Well, you know what the problem is?
Yeah, pretty much no
Let's
one.
be honest here.
The problem is everybody's either far this way, far that way, and nobody has the common sense in the middle. Is really what it is. That's in charge. I
Bring
mean,
back Ross Perot 92.
Ross
my
Perot.
God.
I voted for Ross Perot.
I wish I had a Ross Perot campaign button very
my
much.
God.
Right. I voted for Ross Perot.
I would have
liked
voted for Ross Perot too.
Yeah, I know. I thought.
I have my criticisms of him, especially in the. I don't want to talk about those campaigns, but I get that. Who was his vice?
He was bad.
The seatbelt guy. No, I liked him.
But he was like really kind of weird. Do
He
you
was a
remember
weird
him?
guy.
I don't remember
What's his
him.
name? He had this. He introduced the seatbelt thing.
Right.
He had the planned obsolescence bill that didn't get passed was his. He ran for president like every year.
Right,
after
right.
that. Oh, I'm blanking on an easy one.
I don't remember, but I voted for
died
Ross
not that
Perot.
long ago.
I always thought that a non-political person would do a good job, and unfortunately, look how that's turning out. It's a real
Non-political is just a
shame.
myth.
Yes,
Yeah,
no.
At the end of the day.
No, that's cool. Well, we just got back from we went to an antique show. Not really an antique show. It was called.
Well, they were antiques.
It was a holiday
All
decorations.
seasons.
All seasons.
Vintage
Listen,
decorations.
according to like what we saw there, I must be a millionaire because holy
Honestly,
shit, the
Yeah.
prices that I saw. Were
What I was
ridiculous.
trying to tell Danny before the podcast.
Well, we
got
wanted to save it for the
rudely
podcast.
interrupted.
Oh my
His content
goodness.
is valuable.
Yes,
Throwing
continue,
money
my dear.
away.
Yes, we want the content for the podcast.
So, like, the old Santas holding the bottle brush trees that they
Yes.
repro now? I have a ton of repros on it. No originals. They want like $7,000, $8,000, $9,000.
$1,000?
Yes.
And what was the condition we're talking about?
Not
man.
great.
Oh no, they were in good condition.
They were good, but like the bottle brush trees were falling apart.
I think it's specifically because it's not necessarily a trade show, so to speak, but it's a specialty show.
Well, it's a special.
Right.
So they know they
the
can get away
prices are
with
higher.
it, you know?
Right. The
So-
prices are for sure higher, but they had a paper mache key wind up snowman.
That looked like Bing Cosby. He was
Twen-
cool shit.
$22,000.
Yeah, I
Jesus
picked out
Christ.
that one and I found out the price of it. Man, I got rich taste. 22,000.
You do have rich taste, but that's good. That's a good thing in this
But like,
business.
but anything like I just bought at a sale not that long ago, last year at some point,
Right.
a box lot for about $20 of what looked to me like vintage homemade decorations. So like paper mache covered in glitter. I have a snowman. I have a couple other pieces. They were asking like $400 a piece.
Right.
Jesus.
But
And
in that same sale that you're discussing, we had a little bobblehead pumpkin head.
Oh,
that
the paper mache pumpkin that went for
stuff
oh
like
my
that is
God.
The
what
one
we're
playing the
discussing
fiddle.
here.
The one playing the fiddle.
Yes.
What'd he bring? 3,600, 4,600?
Something like
It was
that.
up
Something
there.
way
It was
more than we
crazy.
thought.
Maybe it was
Yeah.
5,000. It brought a lot of money.
But
Way
at
more.
the shows they had them, and they were asking
They were like
8,000,
8 to 12,000.
10,000.
So here's what you had at the show. It was really cool. It was up in North Jersey. They had about 150 vendors, but there was like 15 vendors that were like, damn,
Serious.
top notch.
Yeah.
You know, when it came to antique, vintage,
Yeah.
German, Christmas and Halloween, it was the best of the best. It really, and I enjoyed it. I walked in there and said, damn, I want to buy everything. Then I realized how much I am a
You love
Say
decorations.
it.
hoarder.
Say it.
I'm a hoarder.
He's a hoarder.
I'm a whore. My father was right. I'm a whore.
That's the secret word we don't say out loud in the building.
Exactly. So but they had great. Oh my God, I wanted to buy it all. It was great. They had these carved devils, and they had paper mache Krampuses. And
Yeah.
they
The
were like,
Krampuses are always wonderful.
but they were like 8,000, 12,000.
But they were like
13,000. But they were
1920s,
beautiful.
1930s.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yes.
even the old Christmas cards
Yes.
are going for hundreds.
Yes.
The old German ones.
They
now.
had postcards that I'm like, I had that one. I have, all these ones. I sold them. I'm like, they're asking hundreds of dollars a piece. The old vintage cardboard, like I have a little boy holding bells, and it's like a heavy cardboard, thing. Each one of those was going for like $400 or $500.
Damn.
The paper mache rabbits, the old ones that I have two of them in there. They were asking like $150, $200. So I looked at Joe and I said, I started about downsizing last year. I said, well, I know what I'm downsizing now. I'm selling it all.
No.
Let it go. He keeps saying no. In this business, if there's one thing you learn, ride the wave while it's while it's high.
But
ride it.
But I listen. You gotta remember. So that stuff now is 100, 125 years old.
Yeah.
The Germans made great shit. They blew it in World War II, but man, I'll tell you what,
It was going
and
so
World War
great
I.
till then.
they were making great fucking Christmas shit. Now I'll tell you that,
they
you know.
were.
But they made beautiful shit. There's no question about it. All the paper mache stuff was absolutely fucking gorgeous.
I think it's just so beautiful because it's so typey. It's just
right.
Yeah.
it's so inherently characteristic,
Yep.
but also so quaint and
Speak on it.
charming, but also campy. And it's like perfectly imperfect. It's just great.
And you say you're going to sell it off, but yet you bought 4 things. We bought with
I
us.
bought 3 things. No.
Well, so 6 and 6 is 12 because 12 Christmas ornaments.
No.
I know it's a box.
a set.
It's a set,
It's a
but
set
it's
of ornaments.
That's
It
12
counts as
Christmas
one
ornaments. No,
thing.
that's 12. So you have 12,
Counts as one
and we
thing.
got a Rudolph sparkly
I
Rudolph
got a
plant.
vintage, like 1950s gold sparkly Rudolph for $20.
I tried to buy this great banner. There was like a banner that you would have saw like in a Christmas story. It was like a swoop banner that was like 6 feet long, and it said "Season's Greetings" with.
It was something like a commercial.
Yeah, and
advertising.
it was like blue and green. I mean, not blue. It was green, white, and
Red.
red. And the guy wanted like $500. So I went over and I go, "I'll give you $300," and he laughed at me. I swear to God, he
Really?
laughed
He's not
at me.
having
I'm
it.
like, man, that was hard. He fucking laughed at
He
me.
was not having it.
He goes, "I'll give it to you for $4.25." I go, okay, well, you laughed at me. I ain't even
Yeah, no,
thinking
we're
about
done.
it now.
At that point-
Negotiations
at that
over.
point, yeah.
I was like,
But where was
damn,
it going
tough
to go?
crowd.
I'm talking about downsizing. He's talking about buying this giant banner. Where's
But
it
I was
going?
going to hang it
You have
right
to
there.
say.
Right there is where it was going.
Which zone is it
For
going in?
Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. There are zones in
Yeah.
this house for Christmas. But
There is.
I
They're
need to
valid.
downsize. I
Right
need to
now, there's
downsize.
zones with Easter.
Such
are.
bountiful splendor, though.
It's crazy.
It was
but-
lovely to see.
Yeah.
And the other
it
thing I
was.
bought was 2 different. So it was a set of ornaments, but one's the round ball, and then one is that like tier.
That elongated
Yeah.
tube.
Yeah. But they were like broken and then put back together as a mosaic. So
They
they're
were
like
cool.
mirrored with the old vintage glitter in between each of
Oh,
the breaks.
cute.
Super unique. You know what I mean? Because they had the typical shiny bright and the da-da-da. And I'm like, I have all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And I was cracking up at the prices they were asking because I'm like, Joey's like, we have that ornament and that one and that one and that one, and then going down the line. And I said, and now you know why I cry every time you break an ornament.
You were talking about Joey's. Yeah, that was Joey.
Yeah, every time you break an ornament.
It's Joey.
It's
Because Joey always breaks the ornaments. Every year he breaks one or two, putting them on over there. And there's
every year he's cursing.
You know what was really cool? They had a couple lights, like they had figural Christmas lights back then, right? But there was a few that were Zeppelins and blimps. Oh man, they were so cool. 110 a piece, 120 a piece. They wanted for him. They were cool though. They were really.
But
cool.
I think the coolest thing of the whole day, which he's never seen before, I've heard of but never seen in person, is an old disc player music box. The old where the teeth went through.
I forgot the name of them.
A Regina.
The Regina
music box. Yeah.
But it also had, as the disc was spinning, there was a thing that came up. You put your Christmas tree in it. It was a stand, and it would spin your tree while it was playing the Regina.
3,600. That's what they wanted.
3,600. Thank you.
I priced it. Yeah, it was there. 3,600, and they had and it only had
and they had life-size bottle brush trees, which I was like,
they were cool too.
I want. But at 2,600, I was like, I don't want it.
Well, the disc player they only played 8-inch disc, 12-inch, not even 8-inch disc. They were small. My disc player is probably about 16-inch disc that I have upstairs.
But it's also collectible, though. It's just insane. We got, at another auction house, I got to catalog strings of the antique hand-blown glass garland.
Yes.
And they only come in, like a 2-foot length.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. And, multiple packages, though. And just the colors, even the way that, the colors age was just so beautiful, because you start getting these incredible neon pinks.
You do.
And these great turquoise colors and these great blues and
the old
greens.
mercury glass.
Yeah.
Christopher Racco makes those things
Really?
The reproduction.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love a shabby chic Christmas, I will say.
I had a great time just
Yeah,
looking at
great.
everything.
And come
Not buying.
Next and tomorrow I'm actually picking up a collection of Christmas ornaments. It's so fitting.
300 or something.
350 Christmas ornaments, I
tell me
believe.
about that.
Yeah, all hand blown. Blow
nice.
molds. There's a bunch of blow molds we're picking up.
Blow molds are fun.
I almost brought a gingerbread blow molds from
the house or a person?
A person from the 60s.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find the guy. I went back to his booth. He only wanted $50 for it or something.
Right.
And I'm looking around looking for him, and I said, forget it. I'm done.
Oh, because he wasn't at the booth.
He wasn't
That's
there.
Right. He left. He walked away.
I was
going to
buy it.
Bad business.
Really
Bad
cool.
business.
Bad
Exactly.
Never happened at Bodnars.
I don't feel bad.
Never.
It's the same guy that laughed at him, so I don't feel bad about it.
Oh, okay.
So full
Good.
circle then.
Full circle.
I guess it was full circle.
I was going over, not even haggling, just this is really cool. I want this. Yeah, you know what? I don't want it.
So that's we're actually picking up a collection tomorrow. That'll be sold at the end of the year. Really, it's going to come
Is that
October.
the same guy
November.
with the giant cement statues, or
Yes.
Okay.
There's Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, all in cement.
Oh man, I'm excited.
Like
to pick
life
those
size?
up.
I was told
That's
they're
what he
life
said.
size. I haven't seen the picture of it yet, but well, if they're life size, then they're only 2 feet tall. They're Jeff size.
No, but I'm talking about Snow White. Is she a 3-foot hoe? Is she a 4-foot hoe?
I don't know. If she's a 6-foot hoe, I got a problem.
We all got a problem with that one.
I don't know, but Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs in concrete. Can't be no worse than what we picked up today.
No, it won't
they
be
were pretty
worse.
heavy.
Yeah.
I saw those.
You saw them, right?
outside
Yeah,
the
we had to put
building.
them outside.
They
Yeah,
had
they're so
nice
big.
cast iron urn on a pedestal and a cast iron little
Guy
boy
with a
pee-peeing.
fish.
Like a cherub?
Cherub, yeah.
Chair,
like a
but his
cherub.
little pee-pee sticking out,
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
It could be a
Yeah.
fountain.
I guess it could be a fountain.
it looks maybe like the water comes up through the fish or something. I don't know.
I'd rather see it come
That's
through
the way it
pee-pee.
kind of looks.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's what would sell.
I don't know, but I'm super grateful to have been too busy today to come on that pickup.
It was
It was honestly
heavy.
pretty easy outside.
It was easy. It wasn't too bad.
And
They
the guy
were a
was
nice
super
couple.
cool. I really liked them all. I talked to the guy quite a bit.
Oh,
he was
CIA'd it.
I'm
yeah,
telling
he was
you.
an expert in folklore, and we had a good conversation about the history of Haiti.
This is it. He's going on all house
Yes.
calls. I can get the backstories on this stuff. Go ahead. He was an expert in folklore.
Your folklore, he had a lot of stuff, Qing Dynasty and Filipino stuff. His wife's Filipino.
Yep.
And we were talking about the history of Haiti. He ended up giving me a portrait he had from Haiti of Henry Christophe, one of the first presidents of Haiti, the only king of the short-lived kingdom of Haiti. Very
Wow.
cool.
Cool.
Very cool.
I dismissed it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not worth money.
These
That's why he gave it to me. It's not worth money. He just wanted to give someone to
I
appreciate.
was gonna say I didn't think it was worth money. Both these newbies have gotten me at house calls, at house pickups that you haven't been here. Meaning, we did this house call, and then he ends up getting a free thing like that, and I go shit. And then we did a house call which is going to be the sale next week. We did that house pickup, and you got something for free out of that house too, right?
Well, there was a reason I got something free.
Well, I said, yes, you
Yes.
you knew the guy.
I knew the guy. We actually, crazy story, small world. Well, I mean, it's Jersey in Middlesex County, so it's not that crazy. But but I knew a gentleman. I do a lot of choir work, and a gentleman I met through choir work's name was Carl Manger. He was a gentleman that had ALS, and he had a form of ALS that was. The slower form. So
Like Stephen Hawking.
Yes, like I guess the same type as
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking. But he lived for about, I want to say 16 years, somewhere around there with the disease. It slowly, took its toll. But through, the church and musical community, he had a great support system. He was able to live at home with support. And we think that was a large part of why he was able to live so long.
Sure.
It's because he had a very rich life. He loved collecting.
You sure did.
He had a huge, impressive collection of artisan-made ceramics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also a big fan of art glass.
Yep.
Also a fan of oil paintings.
Yeah.
Just
Modern.
beautiful things. Yeah.
Oh, he had that really cool German advertisement. What was it? It was like a guy like half naked on the beach, kind of like.
Yeah.
Well, he had a lot of Art
advertising.
Deco things like that.
Yeah,
He liked
yeah.
Art Deco. He was a proud gay man, so that
was.
explains a lot of the
I was told it was
male-related
the gay
art.
house when we were going, and I was very excited. I thought it was gonna be like the house from the Birdcage.
Real progressive,
That was-
Joe.
I love that.
But that
movie.
was-
Real progressive,
I wish-
Joe.
That was a compliment.
It was.
And
Look,
that-
at
and that-
Bodnar's, gay is
so,
good.
when
This
I
house
say-
was gay as fuck. It was amazing.
It was. That's what I said. Because it is. It was great shit.
It was
Listen,
good stuff.
Gay men always have
Gay
good
Gay
taste.
men have
Did
beautiful collections of
They
stuff.
do.
They really do.
Don't we?
Yes, you do. It wasn't in a negative place, but I
know, no, I'm
I
not
think
so
it was funny because I did say we're going to get a gay collection, and I took a little bit of offense. I said, I don't mean it like that. I meant it's nice shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was no, but he did have beautiful things.
He had beautiful
and
things.
I did serve as a health aide for him, or a caretaker
Yep.
for him briefly, filling in for my roommate, who is his long-term caretaker for quite some time. And I got to know him really well. He was kind of a bitch. But I mean, I would be a bitch too if I had ALS.
Absolutely.
But he was very particular about his things, which I
Right.
think kind of showed. And very
Yeah,
cool
great
guy.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? If going full circle, I delivered newspapers to that house when I was like 16, 17 years old. Actually, younger. I was 14, 15, 16 when I was delivering newspapers. So it's quite possible if he was there that long. Because I remember I asked his brother. I'm pretty sure we were dealing with the brother there. I said,
Yeah.
I said, I don't know how long he's been here, but 35, 40 years ago, I delivered newspapers on this paper route here because I used to live 2 blocks from that area right there on
cool,
Oakland
cool,
Avenue.
cool.
And who knows? I might deliver papers. That would be like the second person I delivered newspapers to. I delivered newspapers to Bill Kazar too
Yep.
as a kid. Before we sold his estate.
Yep.
Well, he started working for us, but yeah, I delivered papers. I had 450 papers on my paper route.
Wow, that's impressive.
Actually, what I did, we used to do. So originally I had 70. Then I would up it to 135. What I would do though is in the summertime, I would sell off the routes to kids that wanted it.
Damn.
I was
Always
a-
hustling.
I was a kid. But
He
Joe's
was
a
a
fucking
hustler.
hustling in the womb.
From
so
day
selfless,
one.
you know what I'm saying? You need this.
No, but I really did. So I would have like in the summertime I would lower my route and have about 90 papers to 110. Then I would buy it back or I would take it over after the summer and get it like in September, October, which was great because now I'd bump it up to 250, 275, 300 papers. At one point I had 450. But summer and Christmas, everybody was good for a $5 to $10 bonus, for Christmas. So you would rake it in. You would absolutely rake it in for Christmas and make a couple $1,000s in bonuses just on doing that. And then I had employees too back then. I really did. I had all my friends. They would be like, "Hey, you want to?"
I know.
My friend Abayami Brown and Neil and all them. They would be like, "Hey, we want to go play basketball." I said, "Well, if you want to play basketball, we have to deliver my papers first. So you take this street, I'll take that street, we take that street, and then I'd throw them $1, and then we go play basketball."
I know.
So yes, I guess I was a hustler.
You are a hustler. But funny enough, real quick, back to Carl's house. I got a cuckoo clock. I got his great grandfather's cuckoo clock.
Cool.
It was tiny.
Yes.
And I did not want to impede on Joe's business at all. So I waited until the very end where everything was packed up. He took everything he was taking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Took a quick look through and I was just like, "Hey, do you mind if I keep something just to remember Carl by?"
Right.
But I got that and then just like 2 little ceramic plant hangers that were in the kitchen.
Right. Well, his stuff is in next week's sale, so that stuff was just. I personally loved all his art glass, because I'm a big art glass fan.
Beautiful, really highly iridescent art glass.
A lot of purple opalescents that are like. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
Very
but
Lotes
80s,
style, kind of
80s designers like what I have in the cabinet behind me.
Yeah.
But some maybe Vandermark and things of that nature. But his art pottery, were there's definitely some pieces there that are going to bring some interesting money. I'm curious to see where they land.
Definitely.
And he had nice artwork.
Beautiful artwork, great oil paintings.
Yes, there's some beautiful
art.
art.
He had quite a few paintings by one particular artist, I think.
Yes.
If I recall, I don't remember the artist's name, but
But he bought things like you would see in Cape May galleries, Lambertville, New Hope galleries, things like that.
Very big fan of Lambertville, very big fan of New Hope.
Yeah. But he has nice stuff. I can't wait to see what it sells for next week.
But once again, another great story about how cyclical.
Yeah, full circle.
How life is and how the industry that we're all involved in is. You know what I mean? If not, if it wasn't coming through us, where would it have ended up? So
that's it.
Well, at least some way, it kind of adds to that healing process and that transition of getting them into new hands of new collectors.
Yeah.
It's so funny how everything comes full circle, how people's lives intermingle, and how you recommended us on that. Then it turned out that you came on that pickup and you knew him, obviously, and you knew him personally on a very personal level. And then I look back and I delivered papers to the guy probably when I was like 12 years old. It's so crazy.
What's the same thing with Bill Kasar? You delivered papers to him, then he came to work for you, then he passed away, and had no heirs, and we ended up getting the collection. And so, God, I wish Tom was around back then.
He wouldn't have been able to handle it.
What?
You should have seen him with this one painting. If he saw the entire collection,
Oh,
he
if
would
you would have saw
he would have been
collection,
salivating,
you'd have
passed
died.
out. He would just went.
Bill collected everything historical related to New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
And there were things
That's
I had
hot.
to turn back
Yeah.
over to the state. Like the legislation for the French and Indian War, like the actual handwritten legislation
my God.
that I had to go on the state's websites of documents that have gone missing, and turn over like 2 or 3 documents to them. Then somebody else came in. Oh no, as I called them to say, oh, by the way, I have these. They came down to pick them up. And the woman that came, I almost throttled her across the table because she said, oh, by the way, all of those receipts to the quartermaster during the Revolutionary War, those belong to us also. And I said, no, they don't.
Yeah, what the heck?
She said, they're technically letters to the treasurer of the state. I said, we weren't a state.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
oh, she and I argued.
No such thing as back then.
And she said, well, we can go to court over it. And she took them. And I said, and she said, oh, anytime you want to come see the archives, let me know and you can come on in. And I said, well, I would love to digitize the archives because it belongs to everyone. And she said, oh, these papers will never see the light of day again.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, get her out
Raiders
of
of
here.
the Lost Ark, the Ark of the Covenant's going in the back.
Screaming. But to have someone to enjoy that with, like, and when I tell you, Tom, his house was hoarded. You couldn't get in true hoarder. You
History hoard.
couldn't open the door.
No, you
Goals.
couldn't.
And then when I went in and there was just like a pathway, but you're looking at stacks of paper and it's just all these documents. And so I brought it upstairs to the warehouse when it was empty, just put tables around the room and just started sorting, and stacking and sorting. And I'm moving things one day and I moved something and all of a sudden my brain was like, and I turned back to it, and it was a letter written and signed by Abraham Lincoln. And I was like, there's nobody here to share this with. I'm all alone. You know, like I needed someone there to like get as excited about it.
I absolutely wish I could have seen. I'm actually reading a book right now about the French and Indian War and the first war with the Native Americans.
Yeah, we had the actual legislation, the handwritten with the at the whole nine. Oh my God, it was so amazing.
He had great stuff. Even his presentation swords, all his presentation
Yeah,
swords.
and he had letters written by everyone. Grant, Sherman, Lincoln.
I'm a big Grant defender, Grant apologist. He wasn't that bad of a president.
He wasn't.
Yeah, I thought he was actually pretty good.
I thought he was a great
Anyone would have done
president.
that corrupt stuff. It wasn't even his fault. He sent the army down to fight the Klan.
Every president
Cool
does
guy.
some corrupt things.
And he didn't
respect
even do it. Yeah.
No,
I don't know why we all learn about the credit mobilier, whatever scheme or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
know why that's important, but like every
Right.
U.S. history class goes into it. Who cares?
I have no idea, but
He's like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. I do know that letter brought $20,000 though. All right.
No, it's just amazing. You know what is amazing about it is holding that history in your hand.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I
You
get
know?
it.
Oh, I got to do that a bit. I did a couple archivatry. I don't know how to even say
Yeah,
that.
archival.
Archival work in college. I took one of my senior classes. I got to work with
Right.
old documents from I ended up doing like a presentation to like the town about a dam that had broken. I remember, it was so long ago. I'm old now. But I had to work with documents at the time from like the 1850s and stuff like that.
Okay.
And
Right.
Work with the archivists at UMass, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, that is fun.
I almost went into public history as a career, but
Yeah. No,
Cool.
I love it. I love it.
I love the drums he had. He had Civil War drums.
Civil War drums.
And he had even
swords,
documentations
uniform,
with a uniform.
the musician.
those
the
uniforms are getting more
musicians.
expensive every year.
They sure are. They sure are. I know. Yeah, he had a whole musicians. He had his uniform, his hat, his drumsticks, and his discharge papers. He had all
Wow.
of it.
Yeah, he had everything. Yeah, it
That's
was
so
just
cool.
full circle things in that collection. It was
I mean,
really
just
cool.
amazing
I can't
stuff.
imagine being the drummer guy marching in the battle.
you
Right?
That
imagine?
sounds like not fun.
It doesn't. Or the flag
At least he didn't
holder.
have to kill
the
nobody.
flag
but
holder,
you'd
you
probably
feel
get
kind of
killed.
cool. I guess you
Yeah.
feel cool as the drummer too, but
I was gonna say I wouldn't mind being the drummer, but I would not be in the front of the line. I'll be in the back of the line, so I don't get hit
Yeah.
first. You know why put the
it's true.
8-year-old up
Everyone's
front?
aiming for the flag guy.
No.
No, I mean, I'm really interested in some of the history that I've read about the gay side of the Civil War.
Right.
And there's some really interesting documented
Mm-hmm.
stories about, officers,
yeah.
calling each other by female nicknames.
Real,
Like-
even Lincoln.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I haven't really
We see
dived
him.
into the is Lincoln gay debate.
A lot of people say yes, but at that time it was not
He was a
uncommon
bi
to share.
I mean, he was smizing in that famous photo. Come on, let's.
He was smiling.
I don't
He didn't
know.
have a particularly loving relationship with his wife. We'll say that.
No, but then again, she
Would
was
you?
not. She's not a
No,
particularly
that was
lovable
famous.
person.
No, it's famous. It's like
I
They were-
don't
they
think I'd
were-
be too loving with that woman either. Holy shit!
It was a marriage of convenience
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, but gays are everywhere, and
They
I
are.
love that they're really starting to explore that side of
Yeah.
Civil War.
I've been doing a lot
Definitely
of.
drawn me more so into that aspect of.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel
history.
like I've read a bit about queer history, but nothing really past like the 1950s.
Yeah, I was
Well,
gonna say I
that's
never even heard. So
So-
there's a book on this. You said.
I believe there is a book,
Wow.
or several different books about different aspects of that.
Right.
But, the reason, of course, why we don't know a lot about those stories is because so many of them were purposely hidden or purposely destroyed.
It's different time. No, I
Yeah,
get it. No, that makes
and
sense.
it's scary because we're kind of on the brink of that,
are.
again, and it's But at the end of the day, you could try to erase it all you want,
But it's there.
people exist.
Yeah,
you know what
no,
I mean? Like,
absolutely.
people exist. They live their lives. So
No, if
It's there.
it was there then. It's just more in the open now.
exactly.
You know, I mean, that's really the gig, in
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
opinion. You know,
But really interesting stories all the way around.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been delving a lot into women at that time, and right now I'm reading "Liar, Temptress, Soldier, Spy." It's about 4 different women during the war and how they spied, or the woman
Yeah.
who was a soldier passing as a man. Really good.
Wow.
That sounds
really
really
good
good.
so far.
That sounds really good.
Yeah. I mean, I even have vintage books back there. Nurse and Spy. That's about that's Civil War. Woman who was
Oh,
a nurse
very
and a
cool.
spy during the Civil War.
Right.
Love it.
Cool.
feel like all those layers and the skirts are just perfect for hiding secrets.
100%. And who was gonna be not gentlemanly enough and actually search them?
Exactly.
Well, that's true.
Ain't nobody checking my hem.
Got it. All right, and with that, we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey guys, our next auction is next Wednesday and Thursday, June 18th and 19th. Sale includes U.S. coins, big coin collection. Don't miss out. Single owner collection, over 200 lots, 500 plus silver dollars and ancient coins, all graded. Check it out. And we have the fantastic mid-century modern sale, all filled with art pottery, art glass, great modern mid-century furniture, and more. Check it out next week, June 18th and 19th. www.bodnarsauction.com. Now back to the show. Hey, welcome back to Bodnars, Bids, and Banter. All right. Got a phone call this week. I got to tell this story. Unbelievable. We got a phone call a couple days ago. And actually, we got the phone call a week ago that a woman had. This is once removed. It's not her, but her cousin's estate. The cousin's wife died. And they have all this Native American jewelry and all this gold jewelry and a house contents, this and that. So she was supposed to send photos. We didn't get the photos yet, so I told Janet, this sounds too good. Tell her I'll just do a house call. So we call her back, and we're going to get a house call. And she calls us back and goes, well, I'm sorry to say, but my uncle...
Cousin. The cousin
already signed, to do an estate sale. And we're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I hate when it's right when you see it there and then it disappears that quickly. Usually,
Why they have to tempt you? I don't understand.
Well, you know what it
No
is?
hanging fruit.
I'll be honest. You know what happens there is if it's a real good estate, if you're not on it immediately, it's going. It's going to be gone quickly because of the competition that's in the business. So that's kind of the gig of what happens there. And it gets a little bit tougher if you're dealing with the person directly versus another one once removed, or someone's calling for a family member. Then it gets a little more trickier too. So anyway, we dive in and we start questioning her. First she said, well, I don't feel really comfortable about this. And she started asking Janet, who answers our phones and been on the podcast, some questions like, hey, well, this woman came in, they're going to do an estate sale, but my uncle or cousin, gave all the jewelry to this person.
4 tackle boxes.
4 tackle boxes
gold.
of gold and silver jewelry. All right, this and that and everything else.
Southwest jewelry and not QVC stuff.
Not QVC stuff.
I want a catalog.
No, the real Native American jewelry, right? Oh, and so they go through this whole thing. Anyway, he gives it all to her, and they're going to do an estate sale, and she leaves with the stuff.
She says, "Oh, I'm going to take this and sell it privately.
Privately, I'm going to sell it privately.
But you'll see it on my website."
Red flag.
And weeks go by, nothing on their website, nothing.
But here's the deal: no contract,
No signed contract.
just handed the stuff over.
There's so many people get taken advantage of by scammers.
Yep.
It's just unbelievable. So Janet started. So the cousin's talking to Janet, and we're like, it's a major red flag. I said, listen. The bottom line is, if you're listening out there, always get a signed contract. You must have a contract. And
Don't just give people your stuff. What are you doing?
No, it's crazy.
Photograph the high value assets beforehand.
Right.
No, you can't. Well, not even that. What are the terms? What did you take? They didn't even make an inventory list of what they took.
Well, that's what I'm saying. At least
that's a problem,
if anything,
man.
a photo. If you're not going to list it, at least have photographic evidence.
Right.
Yeah.
But no terms. Like he said, what's their commission?
And then even it's the cousin. The cousin, supposedly the wife died. He's grieving, so he's being taken advantage of. And maybe it's not. Like I told Janet, because Janet was very riled over this, and I was like,
walks like a duck and talks like a duck.
Good.
It sounds sus as fuck like a duck. So
no, it doesn't sound good. I don't disagree. I was, well, maybe she's a good person, but I believe in. Every time we're watching On Patrol Live, right? I always go. They pull the people over. I go, this is harassment, and then sure enough, they have drugs.
No, but I don't.
It is still harassment.
No,
it's harassment. Let him go.
Harassment.
It is
It's such harassment.
But I always go, they're not going to find nothing, and they find the weed. They find the meth.
No, but here's my thing. They have no reason to pull them over in the first place other than the color of their skin.
Or the tinted window glass.
That's my issue with it.
It's so ridiculous.
New Jersey in particular is like the worst tinted window glass law.
they really do.
It's like 0%. You
They
can't have
stereotype it all anyway.
Yeah.
When I had a Mustang if I had a Mustang and it was all tinted out, I had purple neon lights and purple flashers on. I was probably asking to be pulled over, okay? But
Do you hear what you're saying?
I know what I'm saying. I had my system up. Smoke's coming out the window. Yeah, I shouldn't have been pulled over.
He had all that and then drove the speed limit every time.
Okay, wait.
That too, exactly.
Here's the difference, right? I, driving in my car years ago, ran out of gas one day, coming off the parkway, the turnpike at the exit 9.
Right. Nightmare.
Off in the right-hand lane, called someone, they're like, yeah. My ex-husband was coming to put some gas in my car.
Shame. You have an ex-husband? Oh, my God. I can't handle this. I'm sorry.
Shut
So
the
do I. I
hell
have
up.
an ex-husband, wife.
I believe it.
There we go.
What did Joe say about that?
Exactly.
So cop pulls up behind me, comes over. He's like, I just wanted to check on you, make sure you're okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Someone's coming. And then he's like, as long as someone's coming, not a problem. You know what? I'm going to sit behind you in my car with the lights on till they get here, just so that you're safe. Now, we're driving one day. Tommy's driving our truck.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy is driving our truck, and it breaks down. And we're not far in front of him.
And this is up in North Jersey.
I think it overheated. So we were going to get some coolant to put in the truck.
That's
so he
right,
calls and he says, the truck broke down. We turn around. We talk to him for a minute. We look at everything. We're like, we're going to go get some coolant. Just sit tight. The place was literally 8 minutes down the road.
I got another great story. Go ahead.
We drive down there. We're grabbing the coolant. We come back. There's a cop who had pulled over behind Tommy. We start walking up and he's like, what are you doing? And I said, we're Bodnars auctions.
Yeah.
Says it all over the truck,
About
all
to
over the
say.
trailer. We're coming to put coolant in the car. This cop is grilling Tommy. Who are
my
you?
God.
Give me your driver's license. Where are you from? Where are you going? Why are you driving this truck? Whose truck is it? All this stuff. All because their skin colors don't match.
Yeah, no, that was
Two
true.
separate but equal
The bias is real.
situations.
The
Sorry to
bias is
throw
real.
out that one, but and two very different reactions. So I don't care. It's nope.
It's unfortunate to say, but we see examples of that not only in New Jersey, where of course that is still very prevalent, given that even though we're in the Northeast, but of course nationwide.
It's
And
nationwide.
nationwide
It's
for sure.
nationwide.
It's just so. I mean, so many things are unacceptable, but that especially. I don't want to even get
It's
into
an
it because it's such a
assumption.
touchy
We
subject.
love
You
the
know what I'm
Fourth
saying?
But it's an
Amendment here,
assumption of
folks.
guilt.
It is an assumption
by
of
just
guilt
looking at
and-
someone.
and just the whole system as it is
Where was I then?
purposely
I was
meant to
talking about this
exploit
earlier.
those biases.
We went on a political tangent. The one thing we said we wouldn't do.
I know.
Sorry, that's what I said. I was like, I don't want to get into it.
But I do have very passionate views
Yeah.
on it.
Same.
So you should have a contract. That's right.
So have a contract.
So back to contract.
The ticket you got is a contract. Sign the contract. No, but listen, if you're going to give up thousands of dollars of jewelry or anything, you must have a contract.
get a contract.
I mean, even the employees who consign stuff with us, we have a signed agreement.
Yes.
We have a contract.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
law, we have to have a
Yeah,
contract.
if you consign something to us, I get mad all the time if Janet drops something off and then I'm going to do the contracts
And
and I'm
there's no
like,
contract.
where's Janet's contract?
Yeah, it doesn't matter who it is. I have to have a contract.
You know,
on it.
yeah.
No.
Always.
It's a major thing. You need to have it, and you should scrutinize it and look at it and everything else. But hopefully they still booked a house call with me. Now, I think after we discussed all this with them, they felt like they've been abused. Who knows if the stuff is sold? I don't know. I told them, listen.
I don't know.
I said, listen, contact the estate sale person. My advice was contact him back and said, listen.
You want your stuff back?
You want your stuff back. You don't feel comfortable in the situation. I hate to even put that out there because I would hate if somebody did that, but we would have a signed contract.
But I would have a signed
be no issue
contract.
with
Yeah, there would be no issue. I don't disagree, but I know.
hopeful for them, but
Listen, I have stories. I have so many stories. We could talk hours
true.
on different.
I know.
Three
Start a
stories have
podcast or
just
something,
hit me.
maybe. I don't know.
I told them they should ask for it back. And if she doesn't want to give it back or whatever, you just say you don't have a signed agreement. So then we want it back, or we'll call the police and file a report. Because I said you can't really take her to court. You don't have an agreement. It's going to be a he said and she said.
Right, they could say they didn't
There's
give me
no
anything.
documentation
Yeah.
of anything.
No, when we
You know
used to
what I'm
go
saying?
when we used to go in houses when we were live sale, not only would we inventory everything in the house, which I hated doing,
Right.
which we still do when
We
we,
still
go in
do,
houses,
for the most part, yeah.
inventorying all those statues at that house was not fun, and all those comic books was not fun.
Right.
But we also, on top of that, used to take photos right there.
Yeah.
every time.
Wow.
Yeah, we should take photos.
Not
there
just
at the
for
house.
advertising, but now we have a photographic record of everything we took, and it protects
Yeah.
us and it protects them.
Yeah, it protects both parties.
Do you guys
period.
still do that for like more so like the more high end assets? In the
Yeah,
auction?
so when we went
Yeah.
to Brooklyn, we worked more on. We did an inventory, but we also did a photograph.
I did photographs again for
in there.
advertising. Even the statues, I took my phone and just video and walked down, and I gave it to lovely Christian and said, "Here you go."
Yes.
Create a reel for me, but it serves dual purpose, but it also is there for him because now I have a video of all of what we took, so that it protects both
But
of us.
it's important to have a contract out there because number one, it should have your commission on there, what your expectations are. Is it a reserve sale, unreserved, this and that, and outline when the sale date is and what the terms are because you have to know that. If you go to court, you have to have all your, everything in a duck. And
Yeah,
you should be.
'cause you never
The
know.
more
Disclose
evidence
it.
you've collected and had, the way better you look to a judge. So
Exactly.
pro tip, guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
no, absolutely.
Judges
That's
love
100%.
that.
I don't disagree with it. No, you need a signed contract. So
Absolutely.
it's very important that you get a signed contract out there if you're listening.
Yep.
My goodness, there's 3 stories that flashed in and out. I don't even know where to begin. But I am going to tell one story since we're on the cop subject, right? You'll love this story.
While we're
We
here.
circled back off of it.
So we go on a house pickup of a train collection down in South Jersey, right? And we go and. Actually, I got the keys to the house. There was nobody there. So they gave me the keys to the house. I go, and Mike, the train guy, was with us. You never met Mike. You haven't met Mike either. But Mike Petronell was our train expert, and he also
Runs the York Train Show.
York Train Show
Or is
and
one of the
everything
people
else.
who runs the York Train Show.
So this guy literally, they had a house sale. So they had a estate sale, and there was things that didn't sell. So I came in and took the balance of what was there. Gave me the keys to the house to come. I bring Mike with me because we were trying to figure out. I mean, this guy. 18 rooms of trains on display that had layouts. All right. So he had layouts so strong that there was a room like this, and he built a switch tower that was his control center, and it was like 10 feet tall, and you went into the switch tower to
Sounds
play,
like you were like
to play
picking
with
up
your
at
trains.
the Northlands.
Oh, yeah, it was. Exactly. It was like picking up at the Northlands. As a matter of fact, several bridges that came from that collection, I bought one of the bridges, and they're up on my collection that I got from this collection. And I ended up buying that, what I just talked about, and I sold it at the train show in Edison. I got like $1,000 out of it or something. It was pretty cool. At any rate, so we go on the pickup, and we're there. And we were carrying stuff in, out, and next thing you know, the fucking cops show up, right? Well, first the cops show up across the street. Apparently, of course, my luck, right across the street, the house gets robbed while we're out front of this other house. So, and these cops were rough, man. So first off, they come and they start asking us questions, and they start asking questions. Who are you? Where were you from? How are you here? Da 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 da. And I said, and did you see anything suspicious? I'm like, no, I didn't see anything. I mean, we've been here all day, but I didn't see nothing. And they're like, oh, well, somebody robbed the house across the street. I said, well, if you want to take my whole truck and empty it, go right ahead.
My eyes
and
have
look
been
at
on Jeff
everything.
all day.
So this is Jeff's out there, right? And they go, and who are you? Can I have your license? Like, now! And he goes, and he goes running in the house. I'm like, dude, when the cop asks you, what's your name, you fucking tell him, man. I said, you can't do that, My
Sounds
God.
about
I was
Jeff.
about to say, if I had to guess what his reaction would be.
That's how he acted. That's exactly how he reacted. I'm like, come on, man.
You copper.
Yeah, exactly.
He's filing through the system of how many warrants do I have in his mind.
That's
at the
exactly
moment.
what went through his head, So he goes running off, and I'm like out there with the cops. I remember I came and I said, "You're dumbass. Don't ever do that. Just shut your mouth. Act like you didn't hear nothing and just walk out. Don't go, I'm telling you. I mean, what the hell, man? No." So anyway, the house gets robbed. They question us hard. And apparently they take Mike and they question him, and Mike's, was he a cop at one point?
No.
Or so his brother-in-law was a cop maybe
Probably.
or something? So he has a police officer and a detective in his family or whatever. They questioned him hard, and apparently they call him up a week later, and all eyes were on me, and they're like, do you think that Bodnar went there and stole this stuff? And I'm like, No, but they were really like hardcore, man. They like did a second interview and everything. We're like, no. I said, why didn't you just unload the truck while we were there? Why? First off, I said, why would I be robbing the place that says Bodnars auctions all on my truck? You know,
Well, they only catch the dumb criminals, so they were hoping.
I guess
They were hoping it was very easy.
Yeah, and it doesn't say Bodnars criminals. We take it all. Crazy, right? But that brings me back. That was crazy, absolutely nuts, man. I'll never forget. They questioned us hard. I was like, I'm never going back to that town. Yeah. I can't remember what town it was. It was down in South Jersey someplace, but
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
We are Central Jersey supremacists on this podcast, I think, right?
There could be. I don't know. Unreal. Unbelievable. But, I think that kind of wraps it up. It's been an hour. Can you believe it?
Oh my God.
There's no other
Time
cops?
flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, no other no cop
stories?
Have you ever
Cop
been
stories?
arrested?
Too many.
Oh,
How much time do
I have
you
one or
have?
two.
I have one that's kind of funny, and it does have to do with Weird New Jersey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, have you been arrested?
Oh, I've never been arrested. I'm a very good boy.
You been handcuffed, sir?
Nope.
No.
Never been in handcuffs, and I've never been arrested.
Oh, I mean, we don't talk. I have to say, this isn't the podcast for that.
That's a different podcast. We need Tracy for that one. We need Tracy here for that one.
I
I'll say that
have.
those
Have you-
fuzzy
have you been
handcuffs
arrested?
actually kind of hurt.
I've never been arrested, and I've never been in handcuffs, but I have been placed in the back of a cop car without cuffs on, so I knew it was fine.
I have been arrested.
I have never been arrested.
I'm odd man out. Christian, help me out. No. No. There was a time.
Bad bitch alert!
There was a time when you were.
I would come bail you out though if you get
yeah, of
arrested.
course.
With love.
Thank you. Yes, I have been arrested in South Jersey.
Oh, there you go. It's a sad. Maybe I almost joined the crew of being arrested with you. We could have gone to jail together, shared a cell. Badoom boom. That would have been interesting.
No, you would have been separated. So.
I would have been separated.
There was a time back.
He'd save his fruit cups for
There was a time back at the live auction when every single employee had been arrested.
Yeah, almost
Like,
every
it was a
employee's been arrested. It was a
requirement.
requirement to work here is to be arrested, except for me. I didn't want to be arrested. Never.
Yeah, no.
I would not
It was
want to
a
put in
requirement.
handcuffs, even in a sexual manner. I would not like to be put in handcuffs. No, thank you.
Oh, he just got real anxious.
And with that.
That was the question on my mind.
There you go. So now I've answered that question.
you.
I will not wear fluffy, furry handcuffs.
What? I have a question for.
Don't use those.
I have a question for the guy whose mom's a judge. I've had my record expunged, so can I now tell people that I've never been arrested? I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
have no idea. To be honest.
You'll have to ask your mom that and find
Ask
out.
your mom. Say
That's
if-
we'll have to find
if
out
the record's been
on the next
expunged.
episode. With that all being said,
Yeah, please do.
ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Make sure you check us out at www.bodnarsauction.com. Check us out on all the podcast platforms as far as Amazon.
All the things.
All
YouTube.
the things.
All the
YouTube.
places.
Check out our SoundCloud.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. And email us at Bodnars Bids and Banter Podcast at gmail.com.
We want to hear those stories, folks.
We do.
Yes, we do want to hear your story. With that, have yourself a wonderful day. Once again, I'm Joe.
Maureen.
Danny.
And Tom.
Have a great day. Thanks, guys. Thanks
Bye,
for listening.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for watching Bodnars Bid and Banter. Remember, we're here every other week with new episodes, new stories, and wonderful, wonderful times. Make sure you check us out, bodnarsauction.com, YouTube, Facebook, all the different platforms where you watch this podcast or listen to this podcast now. Now, once again, thanks and have a wonderful day.